Now, the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, has urged the University Teachers Association of Ghana to remain steadfast in its demand for government action against illegal mining. He stressed that Ghanaians need food, water, and clean food and water, underscoring the urgency of tackling the menace. His remarks comes as the union considers declaring industrial action following the expiration of the 3-month ultimatum issued in July. Speaking at the 22nd Biennial Conference of UTAG in Ibri, the minister emphasized the critical nature of the fight against illegal mining and encouraged the union to stand firm. Our reporter Fatal Bayaga is on that beat for us. He joins us live from Ibri. Fatal, what can you report as we speak?
This afternoon, the University Teachers Association assembled about 200 people from across the country as part of the 22nd Biennial Congress here. And they've been talking about so many things from ways that means to explore and funding, universities. Apart from that, they also brought experts to, talk about the importance of AI in education and also to improve the ethics as far as university education is concerned. One other very critical issue that we were expecting to hear has to do with illegal mining. The education minister touched on that briefly, and he told the union not to back down. He told them that they should continue to work hard in order to ensure that the issues of illegal mining are addressed. But now I have the former or the outgone UTAG president and then the new UTAG president right here with me. So I just want to have a conversation with them in relation to some of the things that they've been discussing here today. Let me start with the former president of UTAG, Professor Mahmoud Akodugu. You have, served as the UTAG president, and you did a lot of things. One of the major challenges that you spoke about here has to do with funding for tertiary education, tertiary schools, particularly universities. Talk to me about that. How, based on this Congress that you've held today, how do you intend to improve upon that?
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you to your viewers for following. I think, basically, we know that over the years, funding to the tertiary education space, especially the universities, has been reducing. And as I talk to you now, most of the cost that government takes is probably just about part of our salaries. And the rest of it are paid from the...
Fatal, unfortunately, we seem to have lost connection to your sound. We're working the lines to reconnect to Fatal just to get updates on that. He has 2 key individuals of UTAG just before him, and we'll be crossing over live when we reconnect the lines. We're trying to work the phone lines because we have challenges with the sound. But one key update we're looking forward to is the purpose of this Congress. Some of the key things we'll be looking at is that decision that needs to be made. Will UTAG indeed withdraw their services nationwide as they protest the approach to dealing with illegal mining? They have pushed for a targeted state of emergency in key areas like the central region where illegal mining has crippled access to clean water. And so we're reconnecting the lines now to Fatal. I'm hoping it's clearer now. Fatal, take us away.
Areas do you try to explore in terms of improving funding for the tertiary institutions?
I think at the moment we are not charging realistic fees. My 5-year-old, for example, the fees I pay for preschool is more than how much a first-degree student pays in our public universities. You cannot sustain the system like that, and the universities are not allowed to charge the realistic fees. And even what is being charged, you can imagine that every year you have to go back to Parliament to get approval to increase even by 100 Ghana cedis, by 200 Ghana cedis. All those are contributing to the funding challenges that we have. If the universities are allowed to charge appropriate fees, adequate fees, at least we should be able to fund the gaps in the
What do you
funding.
mean by appropriate fees?
As I said, if a master's student going to the UK, you pay no less than £20,000 to do a master's degree. In Ghana, you pay less than 5,000 Ghana cedis to do a master's degree. Meanwhile, we can use the taxpayers' money to sponsor students to go and do programs that are offered in our universities. And so if the UK, for example, they can charge $20,000, pounds, just convert that to Ghana cedis and see how much that is. And we cannot charge even £1,000. It's a problem. And so that aside, you realize the undergraduate programs, for example, that is the base, because that's where we have minimal students. They pay less than 3,000 Ghana cedis a year.
Okay. So before I speak with Vera, talk to me about how much you think would be appropriate for students to pay here in Ghana.
I think realistically, we shouldn't be thinking about less than 5,000 Ghana cedis a semester. I mean, that is, if we want to be realistic with ourselves, at least as a beginning, not less than 5,000 Ghana cedis a semester should be, at least would help. But over time, we have to work towards providing funding opportunities for the students, so that they can get bursaries, they can get scholarships. Those who cannot afford can get the bursaries and the scholarship to support them, and those who can afford should be allowed to pay.
All right. So let me talk to Vera now. She's the new UTAG president. Listening to some of the speakers during the Congress, I was told that you face infrastructural challenges, and in fact, some of the students are boxed together because of inadequate, dormitories or and classrooms and all of that. Talk to me about that challenge.
Yes, over the years, even as the population has grown and the quantum of students who are due for university level education has expanded, our resources have not actually matched up to the speed of growth. And so this has actually resulted in a deficit in terms of the gap. So I like to jokingly say that when I walk into my lecture room, it's more like a political rally. Okay. Because then, when you actually grooming at the high educational level, you need to be literally replicating yourself. So that means you need more engagement. So with world-class institutions, we actually have a certain ratio or proportion of students to faculty. That has been, should I say, long gone when it comes to our public universities. And so what you find is that even as we are trying our very best, we are unable to match up. What even makes it worse is that because our conditions of service are not that great, what we find is that those who ordinarily should aspire to get into academia because they are the brains would like to replicate, more like the genes would like to replicate, would prefer to go into the corporate sector because it pays better, or they rather even do buying and selling because it pays better, or best even go into politics. That's a V8 and S gratia assured. But for the economy to grow, we need the right brains in the right places. So you want the right people in the right places. That's literally resource allocation then. So this funding actually has long-term implications we are not seeing, because production for the nation is falling because those who ordinarily should go into production, the risk-adjusted return doesn't make economic sense. And so they walk away and they'll rather do other things that pay, because as human beings, they are rational and they'll go for the best.
You said you are going to do other things. So let's talk about illegal mining, because UTAG has been very, very tough when it comes to the fight against illegal mining. In fact, in July, Professor Akodugu and his team said that they were going to, declare strike after 3 months if the government doesn't take steps in fighting illegal mining. Prof, your, deadline is fast approaching. I'm told that this week it will end. A lot of people across the country are, waiting to hear from you. You are holding a congress here today. Should Ghanaians expect your union to declare a strike because of what we say in relation to illegal mining? In fact, a lot of communities are struggling because of the impact of illegal mining.
Okay, let me say as we say in our labor parlance, that in July we issued the statement and we said that if within a certain period of time, we did not see concrete steps being taken to fight Galamsey, we are going to advise ourselves. I know that those of you in the media and many others will always interpret to advise yourself to mean to go on strike. And basically, during the period, the past 3 months, we have engaged government, we've pushed for certain things to be done, and we've submitted our proposals to the sector minister. And one of the items, for example, tracking of excavators into the country, it was a proposal from UTAG that we understand has been rolled out. As to how effective it is or not, that is something that we have to relook at. The issue of declaration of our forest reserves and then water bodies as national security zones. Again, we made the proposal that in the least that the least that can be done, if the government is not ready to declare a state of emergency in those targeted areas, the least is to declare them as those areas as national security zones. That has also been done. And there are a number of other things that we suggested that are being implemented in one way or the other. But it will take time for us to be able to see whether these are really making the right impacts or not. And that is something that we have to assess and see what is the best way forward. But as we said, that if need be, and I know the president will, our now president will talk to this, but if need be, UTAG will never shy away from doing what is needful. And so Ghanaians can always expect that if UTAG assesses the situation and there's a need to do anything, they would take that decision.
Prof, this is not the first time that we are hearing some of these promises from, government, right? So, are you, because in the past, some of these promises were made and nothing tangible was taken. Are you quite convinced that this time around the government would go ahead to, ensure that they implement this well to ensure that they fight illegal mining? Because as we speak, we're told that women are compelled or they are facing abortion, right, because of the impact of illegal mining. If you go to the central region, a lot of people are struggling to drink water or to have access to potable water because of illegal mining. This would concern you.
Of course, it concerns us. That is why we went ahead to even declare a strike last year when everybody decided that they were not going. It concerns us. It is still we continue to see it as a national emergency issue that has to be tackled. But are you aware that the tracking is not a promise but is done? Is it a promise or is work that is going on? Right? The declaration of the reserves and the water bodies as national security zones, I don't think it's a promise. It's a decision that has been taken. It's a policy decision that is to be implemented. So we must make sure that it gets implemented. But we cannot also say that because it's a decision that has to be implemented, we should not trust that it will be done. It is for us to focus our energies on ensuring that it is implemented and effectively done so. Okay. The LI, when the LI, we continue to demand that the LI that permits mining in forest reserves should be repealed. The government decided to amend it, and we insisted that we wanted it to be repealed. At the moment, we have been told that when Parliament resumes, it will be repealed. Okay. So these are things that at least, following our release, these steps have been taken. We need to go back and look at the steps that have been taken so far, whether they are promising and whether they would help us to get to the promised land, and what other things we may need to do. Because as for policies, when you implement a policy, other things may come up that will require your attention again. And so we are looking at all that has been done. We'll review it, and then we'll take the next step that has to be taken so that the fight continues.
All right, let me bring in Vera now. Vera, you are the new president. You've taken the baton today. I'm told that you are going into a meeting, a NEC meeting right now. Is this something you are going to discuss about? and whether or not your union, would you like to take tough measures or maybe tough decision in ensuring that government takes the right steps in fighting illegal mining?
I'm sure we will take tough decisions. One of them would actually also be to, should I say, task the media to do a very good job of engaging the relevant stakeholders, bring the news to the people, ensure that all the people who are affected in one way or the other begin to understand the issues adequately. UTAG will do its bit to help the nation, even as we also task all relevant stakeholders who should give us a loudspeaker to engage appropriately will do so. So yes, we're going into a NEC meeting. We will make some decisions when and of course, as we are teaching and research body, so when we put all our information together, we would like to take the most appropriate decision. And once we do that, we'll inform the media.
Will the strike be part of this?
We are not a body that likes to take strikes for the sake of taking strikes. So if the need arises, we will advise and do the appropriate thing. Until then, we stand ready to help Ghana grow. I
spoke to you early on. You told me how, Galamsey is affecting the community. You said you were concerned about that.
Yes.
So, and you said you are going to be bold too now in fighting illegal mining.
It doesn't always mean striking. I believe striking would it, in a sense, educate the people to pursue sustainable mining practices? Maybe not. And that is where we would also expect the media to do their part of the job and help us to communicate appropriately. We want maybe the repeal of the LI that allows mining in the forest reserves. We would want the media to join us. So whilst UTAG does it bit, we would also crave the participation of other relevant stakeholders to join the fight so that Mother Ghana will be safe.
Thank you very much. So I've been speaking with the current UTAG president and then the former UTAG president on their position as far as illegal mining is concerned. And at the moment, they say that they are going to hold a NEC meeting. After the meeting, then they will determine what decision to take. But based on what they told me this afternoon, it looks like they, in a way, enjoys the work that the government has been doing so far, or they are satisfied with the work that the government has been doing so far in the fight against illegal mining in the country.
Thank you, Fatal, for bringing us that update all the way from Ibri. We'll be back to you after the NEC meeting concludes. Just get updates as to if indeed UTAG will be withdrawing their decision to embark on the strike or will go on with it. Well, away from that, the suspension of the embattled Charles Akwesi Edu, Assistant Headmaster in charge of academics at KNUST Senior High School in Kumasi, has not disrupted teaching and learning on campus. The Ghana Education Service removed Charles Akwesi Edu following a viral video allegedly showing him in what GES says was an inappropriate situation with a female student, while GES described the matter as a serious breach of professional conduct. It also barred the assistant headmaster from entering the school pending investigations. My colleague Ohimin Teria visited the school and reports full academic work was in session as teachers and students went about their normal duties.
It is a normal day here at KNUST SHS in Kumasi, where the assistant headmaster of the school has been suspended by the Ghana Education Service for allegedly engaging in amorous relationship with a female student of the school. This news appear not to have disturbed the academic calendar as teachers and students on campus go about their normal academic work here on campus. Only parents seeking admission for their wards are seen entering and going out of campus with the hope of getting their wards admitted on campus. And the information I got from them is that both the head of the institution and the assistants are engaged in a series of meetings outside campus. But JoyNews multiple sources indicate that the girl in question has been in amorous relationship with a student, a male student, was rusticated. After that incident, the female student also lost her right to be in the boarding school. On 19th September, just after completion of the SSCE exams, the girl used the assistant headmaster's phone allegedly to send a recording that has since gone viral to her alleged boyfriend. School authorities, according to the security here, are tight-lipped and wouldn't want to comment on the issue. As GES continue to investigate the matter, students and teachers of KNUST SHS appeared not to be disturbed by the development as they continue to pursue academic laurels. From Kumasi, for JoyNews, Ohime reporting.
Well, let's explore this further. Joining me now is Bright Appiah of Child Rights International. I also have my colleague Ohime on the ground because we're hearing from parents push for stringent punishment against this headmaster that GS tells us has since been sanctioned. Let me start with you, Ohime. Clarify for me, has he been officially relieved of all his duties or he has been transferred?
We can report is that since the incident or the video became public, GES took steps to suspend the embattled assistant headmaster, of which he was called to report to the Ghana Education Service headquarters in Kumasi. So since last week, Mr. Edu has been reporting to GS office. My sources at the office tells me he usually reports to the office, come there and sit idle without doing anything. So I can report that indeed Mr. Edu is not on campus, and as the statement from GS did indicate that he has been barred from entering the campus school premises. Indeed, he has since not been seen in or around the campus as we speak.
But you've also been engaging some parents just to get their thoughts on this. What exactly have they been telling you?
For the parents, the engagement was a bit scanty because many of them were those who had come to the campus seeking admission for their wards. So they wouldn't want to put themselves in any compromise situation because in the first place, they were entering the school so they could receive some kind of gestures from school authorities and in the case of admitting their wards. So they wouldn't want to talk much on this, just to say that once GES is investigating, they are hopeful that the Ghana Education Service will get to the bottom of this matter. And even to say that the teacher in question has been suspended is a good sign that GES do frown upon such conducts, and they are hopeful that GES will deal with the matter and get to the bottom of the issue. I will also say that Charles has also added his voice to the issue. Charles is not comfortable and has condemned the situation where the teacher was found in that position with a female student, which Charles, national president, Reverend Frimpong, also says this shouldn't have happened in the first place. And he says, though Charles has received some reports in the past of teachers' involvement in some of these acts, it hasn't come in the open as it has happened in the case of the assistant headmaster of KNUST Senior High School. So Charles has also added this voice condemning the act the same way that GES has also added its voice.
Let's talk about the girl in question, the student. Do we know her age? What exactly have you been digging about her?
It's difficult knowing her exact age, but it's of public knowledge on campus that this is a girl who enrolled in the school as a general art student into the boarding house. Some time ago, she and other male students were, caught in the web by the school's disciplinary committee. They were seen to have been involved in the smoking of banned substances. To say leaves suspected to be Indian hemp were found in their possession whilst they were smoking on campus. So the school's disciplinary action took some steps, and the steps affected this girl in question, the general art student, and she was asked to stay home and report to school as a day student. So I will say that she was rusticated in the same way another male student, which my information on campus indicates that he was the boyfriend of this female student. So unlike the girl's situation, this gentleman in question, who was affected by the school's disciplinary action, decided not to return to school. So they just ended WASI exams. The gentleman in question sat for the exams from a different center, though he was given the opportunity as a day student at KNUST SHS. That did not happen. So information is that this gentleman has been in that relationship with a girl. They have this amorous relationship. In the same way, the girl also has allegedly with the assistant headmaster. So right after the exams, the final year exams, the girl actually had the video recordings. Is a recording we have all seen in public. It's been very viral. It has gone viral. So she first decided she used the headmaster's phone, the assistant headmaster's phone, to record that scene, which is in public now. And in the same way, use the same phone to transfer the video to her boyfriend who was outside the school. So the two of them, maybe as a plan, decided to hold on with the circulation of the video until after they were done with the final exams. Perhaps when the girl would say, I'm no longer a student under the control of school authorities. And that is when they released the video, which has since gone viral. And so on campus, the teachers who are on campus are aware of this story, including the classmates or the schoolmates of this girl and the gentleman in question. And the assistant headmaster, I was told, until he moved to KNUST SHS, he's usually referred to as Stone Boy, was a senior housemaster at Opukwari Senior High School. And he was transferred to the school to become the assistant headmaster about 4 years ago. Until then, he has not been, been found with any irregularities or disciplinary actions, or having had these issues or brushes with the law before when it comes to student-teacher relationships on campus. So for teachers on campus, they are a bit surprised that the teacher will lower himself allegedly to that level to have that amorous relationship with the student.
Okay.
But then they wouldn't want to speak or talk much about this. They want the law to take its course as GES investigates the matter.
Thank you, Ohim Interior, for bringing us that update. Now, let me bring in child rights advocate, Brighter Pierre, also of Child Rights International. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. We're hearing that this case is currently before the disciplinary committee. From where you sit, what kind of action should be taken against this headmaster?
Any action available within the framework of their protocol, and then also whether our legislation support the any kind of punishment that need to be administered. And for me, the most important thing is that how do we get the environment safe for the welfare of children, and how the relationship between students and their teachers will be like. So if there's any punishment that need to be meted out, I think that it should be a punishment that would also deter other people from engaging our children in a manner that they did, and also making sure that we put in certain policy, safeguarding policy framework within our school system, so that teachers will know that they have to uphold a higher standard of care for our children. And then children must also understand that there's a limitation to the extent to which they can have a certain level of relationship with teachers within that environment. And once we're able to do that, I think that we will safeguard the welfare of our children, and then we'll make sure that some of these things do not occur.
Now, just give me some legal education, really. Legally, can she still be said to be a child? We don't know her age for certain.
Exactly.
But then can we still say that she's a child and she's been molested or taken advantage of if she's past 16 and she had given consent to the amorous relationship?
Yes, of course. Oh, some of these things can come to bear, but it also depends on the circumstances. And if we're to be rape or defilement, I think that the context of the discussion would have been different. But this is a sexual assault, and if you clearly watch the video, you will come to a certain conclusion that there is some kind of agreement between the two parties to engage in that, and that can also be put in a proper context when we know the age of the child to be able to determine whether the headmaster obtained the consent or not. So those are the things that would help us to determine whether a criminal action can be taken. And even if it's a criminal action, you expect that the lady or any of his her family members need to initiate action against the said teacher and all that. So it's a bit complex in terms of issuing a criminal charge against the assistant headmaster. But what we really need to look at in this context is that the teachers people who teach or who are within the school environment must hold what we call the standard of care. So irrespective of whether you have obtained consent with a child or not to engage in certain activities, once we are within that environment, you have to be cautious of how you can administer your standard of care for the child. So whether in this case, whether they have obtained consent or not, then of course, the issue of standard of care can also be an avenue for which we can also bring some kind of civil charges against the headmaster. And I'm sure that is where the Ghana Education Service want to take advantage of. But even in that area, I think that they are limited, because if you look at the standard, the protocol that they have in the schools, this is not punitive enough. It only puts in certain measures. For instance, if teachers are engaged in this kind of act, is either you are transferred or you are dismissed from the school. And even if you are dismissed, the offense must be so express that you don't have the capacity to provide care for children anymore. So it's a whole complex issue. And we don't really have express provisions that deal with some of these issues, like sexual assault within the school system. When you go elsewhere, either you'll be banned from having access to children within a particular radius, or maybe for your entire life, you will not be granted access to any environment where children play or they do their things and all that. But in our case, we more focus on the administrative punishment rather than looking at the child protection in terms of how we can make the school environment safe. So the safe school system do not really have protocols that will spell out what needs to happen when some of these things happen, but we have rather embedded that within administrative system. So the focus now is not only about children, it's not about children, it's about how administratively they can run the school. And when you do that, it means that you are not taking into consideration the best interest of children when it comes to management of schools. And that, for me, is what makes this a case a bit difficult to pursue in respect to the kind of punishment that it can give to the said assistant headmaster.
And then moving forward, really, would you propose or recommend that we amend the GS Code of Ethics or even our laws to give room for some of these concerns you're raising? That way we can be certain of outright punishment for individuals involved in acts like this.
Yes, the code of conduct is a code of conduct. So if they want to review it to enhance their work, that is good. But the most important thing is that we need a safe school policy. Because if you look at the education strategic plan, clearly for the first time, we have decided to include the issue of child right and child protection. So we need to give it flesh so that when we develop the safe school policy, and that would define a clear how students and teachers can have a relationship, and that the relationship has enhanced their learning and has enhanced their social development, then we can ascribe certain punishment to it. That when you go beyond that, this is what our safe school policy says, and that would help us to whether to determine whether some of these things can be criminal or it can be civil. So these are things that we have to. So beyond we reviewing the code of conduct, which is purely administrative, I also think that we need to develop the safeguarding policy within our school system that will clearly spell out relationship and how we should handle our children. And this must also come with information for a lot of students to also get to know. They should be well informed so that when they are taking certain decisions, they will take decisions that will be in their best interest.
And in the light of these concerns of students involved in compromising situation with teachers and even assistant headmasters, how do you propose moving forward that we can ensure that our schools are safe enough for the children?
Well, as we speak, the school system is infested with all these kinds of behavior. Because where I said a number of cases that we receive on a daily basis, it will surprise you that this is just a tip of the iceberg in terms of what is happening to our children in schools, and even issues that are happening between student to student, student to teachers, and even teachers to teachers. So clearly, we need to, first of all, look at if the Minister of Education is interested in this matter. I think that they have to do a proper audit on social systems of our schools to determine whether we even have the infrastructure to be able to do all these things. And then on the basis of that, we can recommend that the state must take steps to develop a comprehensive policy that will safeguard the school system. Once we are able to do that, I think that people will not just take advantage of the system and then do anything that they feel like, because they are doing it because the environment is loose and nothing is controlling the environment. And because people feel that, and one thing that people always do is that when they say somebody is above the age of 16 years, they just assume that automatically you can obtain consent from the child to engage in any kind of acts that you will not be responsible for. But they have also forgotten that when you attain the age of 16 years, what actually the law requires that you should obtain from the child is what we call an informed consent. And what means is that the child in question must have a full understanding and the consequences of his or her action to be able to come to that conclusion. So it is not just cast in stone for you to just say that, oh, I've obtained the consent from the child, so I can do whatever I want to do. And I'm sure when we are able to put some of these safeguarding instruments and systems and mechanisms in place, it will help us to get some of these things off our shoulders as a country.
Thank you so much, Brighter Pierre. He is Executive Director for Child Rights International. You're still watching The Pulse. Please, we'll be back after this weekend. Stay with us.